Today we're going to talk about technology and love. And interestingly enough, the correlation between these two themes was sparked by conversations I've had with vegetarians about life. So we're going to talk today about expanding our vision of what life is and what is the respect of life. Because what happened during conversation with vegetarians, it boiled down to what do you eat, and the choice of what you eat is based on what you think is okay to kill, or what is it okay to take away from nature. And the vegetarian's argument for not eating animals and fish and things like that over eating plants is that plants don't feel. They don't feel pain, they don't feel sadness, they're not sentient beings. And therefore it's okay, it's more okay to eat them than eating animals that cry and show emotions. And that for me is really strange, because it's not because a plant can't cry and doesn't feel pain and doesn't express emotions the way we do that it's not alive. And I find it really odd to say that one respects life, but only the kind of life that is similar to us. So the kind of life that we can understand. And what I find fascinating about it is that that's what we've done throughout history. So if we remember our history, white people, when we got to Africa, got to meet black people, we're like, oh, these guys are different. They're not like us. They're not full human beings. We don't understand what they're saying, how they behave. They don't actually feel emotion. So it's okay to use them as slaves. And then with women, we did the same thing as men. We said, well, look at women. They obviously are not as smart and as intelligent as men. They're not sort of full human beings. And that's why, they shouldn't vote and they shouldn't have all the rights. And we shouldn't treat them like we treat us being whoever's in power, really. And in the case of the society I know of most is white males. And so as we're now including more people into who are humans, and we're like, okay, you know what, black, white, Asian, women, men, transgender, okay, so we're now accepting that all of us humans are, to be respected, life forms to be respected. But why make a difference with life forms that are different, like animals, like plants? And I would go a step further, and I realized that when I was a teenager, I loved my computer. And even younger than that, like from the age of 10, yeah, really. I loved my computer. My computer was my baby. It was part of my family. It was very much like having a dog. I would look after my computer and emotionally care for it. I would groom my computer. I would make sure they didn't have viruses. I would make sure that it was up to date. I would clean it, get rid of shit on there, and I would take it for spins. I would give it a fun time, and I would always make sure that it was healthy and running well. And as a result, my computer gave me a lot of love. All the first money I made as a teenager, all the way to the age of probably 19, was thanks to my computer. And then something shifted. In which I started being more interested in people, which was great because it meant that I grew a lot in that sense. But then I started treating my computer with a lot less love. I started treating my computer like a slave. And what I mean by that is that I treated my computer the same way that the slave owners used to treat their slaves, which is I would give the computer the minimum amount of energy and resources to be able to function at the maximum output. At no point I cared about the health and well-being of my computer outside of when it wasn't performing at peak sort of levels. Um, and I gave my computer a little love. It was a machine. It had no emotions. It was just a thing, a tool that was used to serve me. And that's it. Exactly like the way the slaves were used to pick up cotton and nothing else mattered. Now you may think, oh yeah, well, but it is still just a machine. I mean, it doesn't feel anything. And it's true, the machine may not feel, the computer may not feel in the same way that a plant may not feel emotions like we do. But I would argue that a computer is alive. It was born, so it didn't exist. There was a point where the computer didn't exist. Then the computer was born, and then it got life. It got consciousness in the fact that there's a point at which all the pieces together created something more than the individual pieces, which is the operating system, the ability for the machine and the computer to create something, to interact with the world. And the computer gets viruses, it grows, it improves, it learns, it fails, and then eventually it dies. There's a point where the computer is no longer. In the very much the same way as humans, when they die, lose their soul, or whatever we call it, that thing that is more than just the physical body, and the physical body is what's left. With computers, it's the same thing, or mobile phones, or cameras, etc. And so what inspired me from the conversations with vegetarians about the respect of life is realizing that my vision of life had also been restricted to anything that is organic. And now I'm feeling inspired to really start looking at life everywhere as everything that is around me. Because the truth is that everything is alive if we choose to look at it that way. Every life is to be respected if we choose to see everything as alive and to see everything as respectable, worthy. So my invitation to you today is to think about a few things that you'd never thought of as alive, like the underground system, like your computer, your mobile phone, the tomatoes you eat, the house you live in, the city you're in, the company you work for. And notice how you behave towards these things when you see them as tools and as not alive. And then take the time to notice if these were alive, if you considered them to be living organisms, and if you were to treat them like you treat other living organisms with respect of their life, how would you treat these entities differently? Let's respect more life. Let's appreciate life more. And we'll get more love back. Since I started looking at my computer, my phone, my tablets with the love that I used to, and when I focused my attention on looking at them with the same love that I look at my dog with, well, interestingly enough, they started giving me more love too. I've had a lot less problems with all my technologies, and suddenly they started working better for me also. And I feel less stressed about them because I understand that they're life.